Alright, welcome back everybody, bringing you guys the second game in this best of 3 between DVNPanamaRed, the yellow Terran in the 12 o'clock position, and Poonpounder, the red Zerg in the 9 o'clock position, or 3 o'clock position. On Metalopolis, the PanamaRed throwing out the GLHF Sensei. I believe he's saying that because I think Poonpounder probably helped PanamaRed learn to play a little bit. They were saying in the last game the PanamaRed used to be a silver level newbie, as Poonpounder put it. But PanamaRed took the last game very convincingly, just doing some good Marine Marauder pushes and some good double-pronged attacks. Poonpounder did choose to go for the Mutaling Baneling route, but he was not able to do a whole lot of damage with his mutas, and eventually he just kind of lost due to some superior upgrades from his opponent and things like that. So we'll have to see in this game, which is going to be on the MOG Metalopolis, or at least it said so. Again, I do not see any, neutral supply depot. But that is something that I believe is standard on the MOG version. But you can see, again, there's no close position on this map because they did not spawn in close positions. I'm just assuming that. And so far, both players just going for the standard opening. I would assume we were going to see Poonpounder go for a hatch first again, just because that is what you do against Terran players. That is what you've done against Terran players for a long time. There's a small chance this SCV could block it, but no, once again, that drone getting the expansion out just before the SCV got there. And so, Poonpounder is going to know exactly where his opponent is. You see him running his Overlord. It would actually be good of him to maybe take a look at the gas timings really quick. I'm sorry for that little bit of a yawn, guys. I'm a little bit tired. But I've been doing casting for a long time, but it's so exciting. It doesn't really matter. And so there's a pool going down on 15 as well, which will allow Poonpounder to get the lings that he needs to hold off any kind of early bunker pressure, barracks pressure, stuff like that. And it will let him get out that fairly quick speed if he chooses to get the extractor, which I would not be at all surprised to see him do. That is exactly what he did last game. It seems as if PanamaRed is just going to be going for the similar opener. It looks like he's actually going to be rallying his Marines over to the opponent's base. Maybe just go for a little bit of bunker pressure. See if he can make his opponent crumble under that little bit of pressure, which normally it's the 2 racks pressure which really starts to get to the Zerg players. But if the Overlord does look and it does see the SCV, or I'd assume we're going to see him pull drones pretty soon. He's probably going to need to if he wants to be able to hold this, and it looks like he's not going to be pulling drones. No Zerglings on the way either. We just have 2 Queens, and the first Marine is here, and this is very bad or potentially very dangerous for Poonpounder. If the Marine can get good positioning, could be okay. The drones coming are actually just transferring. They're not actually doing anything. And the Marine is going to get into the bunker. The bunker is going to complete if it runs in now. And there is the bunker rallying the SCV out the other side. Another Marine arriving. Spinecrawler getting thrown down. And Zerglings are out. But there are 2 Marines in the bunker now. A third one on the way. And looks like you will be able to get in, picking off the Overlord, which is always annoying for the Terran player. And we see in the production tab, PanamaRed throwing up that, losing a Marine right there. That's unfortunate. But we see in the production tab, PanamaRed throwing up an expansion as well as another barracks, just because he knows this is going to do enough. You see he's forcing a lot of lings as well as a spine crawler, extra Overlords, more than he would like. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose these drones right here. He's going to be focusing down this slowly, but the spine crawler is going to be able to reach the bunker when it builds, and there it is. But he will be able to repair through it a little bit, almost. This will be able to stay alive for a very long time, especially if he was to send one more SCV or one more Marine. He would totally be able to go through this. But unfortunately, it will not be staying alive for long enough to kill the hatchery here. You see it's at almost half health now. The hatchery and the bunker both are. And so right now, PanamaRed a little bit supply blocked, but he does have 2 supply depots on the way. Just take a look over here. I'll keep my eye on the action. While we take a look in the production tab, the command center is just about to finish up. Zergling speed about halfway done. And of course, that will give him an advantage for the map control, but he does just go ahead and he should salvage that. Yes, he does, but he lost all his units trying to run them. Of course, that's never fortunate. He should have, if he wanted to try and keep them alive, got them around here. They couldn't get around there. But of course, the Zerglings just would have killed him if he tried to push out just through the most direct route. And so, we do have the SCV coming out, throwing down the bunker. This is a very standard play for the 1 rack to expand versus the Terran, or versus the Zerg, or any race really. You just go ahead, you throw down that bunker, because that is what allows you to survive versus the early pushes that the Terran player might throw out you. We see the orbital command is done. and it is going to be coming over here, landing. And take a look at the income tab. We see that Poonpounder has actually made a lot of drones since he was forced to make all those Zerglings. He's up 34 to 25 on the harvesters right now, throwing down that Roach Warren again, which, as I mentioned in the last game, can be very good if they do go for a Hellion play, but unfortunately it does not look like it will be a very fast Hellion play. At least he does have the factory on the way right now, which might be used to make Hellions, but it could also just be used to go for a pretty quick tank push. We have the Overlords being sent out over here, which is always good to have Overlords just in between your bases, just to check for any kind of drops, any shenanigans like that. We do have the Evolution Chamber on the way this game, and I really hope that he does decide to use that a bit more last game. I feel like that was kind of his downfall in the last one, was that he wasn't getting a whole lot of upgrades, and in the end, I'm casting them a lot. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is a full wall. I think it is, but it would be very unfortunate if he suddenly discovered that it was not a full wall. It's never fun, but we see the fast Spire coming out from Poonpounder, and it is going to be possibly seen by the scan. I'm not actually sure if it was. No, it was not seen by the scan. So if Poonpounder can get out these fast mutas and do some good damage with them, it would be very beneficial to him, but it seems like PanamaRed might have a good idea of the timings. He's throwing down an engineering bay, and it should be done just in time to get the turrets. It actually have plenty of time to get turrets up before any kind of mutalisks do arrive. And we see Poonpounder with a nice little bit of SimCitying right here, making sure that no Hellions will get down and hurt him. Well, PanamaRed might have seen this drone on the way. He's going to know the timing of the third. But I would say PanamaRed is definitely a bit ahead on economy now. You see he's behind on the income, but a 2-base Terran versus a 2-base Zerg almost always benefits the Terran, especially with the mules, just because that gives them that slightly increased income right there. And so we actually see 22 Zerglings and 8 Roaches on the way just before the Spire finishes, and the upgrades and whatnot have actually mostly drained his gas. So the Spire just popped, but he's actually not going to be able to get very many mutas. He's not mining off one of his geysers. And he doesn't really have any larvae either. That's actually, I guess that is in the unit stat now. He does have 4, 7, 10 larvae. So he could make some mutas if he wanted to, but unfortunately he only has enough gas for 3. But I think those units might have been in response to seeing these push out across the map. These Zerglings and Roaches should be plenty to kill off this push. But if PanamaRed can get good positioning, he could be in okay shape. It would also be very nice if he could pick off these 2 creep tumors, just because denying the creep spread of the Zerg is always a good thing. Picking off the statue right there, as I said in an earlier game, no one likes oppression from Mengsk. But we also have a drop coming out in the main right here. It's going to be, for now, just picking off some Overlords. These units is choosing to run in and at least try and clean up this push. But it looks like half of them are running back out. But these Marines actually could maybe take the Roaches. No, they will not. At the same time, this drop being cleaned up as well. So PanamaRed doing that very good technique he did last game, was just with the 2-pronged attacks, but he was not able to do nearly as much damage that time as he was in the last game. We see Poonpounder does now have some mutas on the way, as well as the Roach speed and some more Queens, I guess, to just continue that creep spread, and of course 1 for his third, which is now up and running, but he's currently down 40 to 44 on the Harvesters, so he did lose a good number of drones. I lied, but he just hasn't been making that many drones this game, so his economy is not quite as strong as it could be. You see, he's not totally saturated in his main here. He's only got about 16 drones total, including some of the ones on gas, and he's not mining off one of the gas geysers, which will definitely hurt his mutalist count as well as his upgrades as the game goes on and he wants to transition into some kind of later game tech like Hive. So we see him sending his Overlords, I guess, just generally across the map, but we have a big push coming out and around. It looks like it is going to be hitting the third of Poonpounder. Once again, he is not mining off the geysers over... Sorry about that yawn, guys. As I said, I am a bit tired. I've been casting for quite a while, but everything is going to be okay because this push could do a lot of damage. This could make the difference in the game. We actually have an SCV with the push as well. I'm not sure if that is a mistake, but we have the potential this Overlord is going to go down, and Poonpounder has no idea that this push is coming. He actually did just see something. He just saw... he just lost his Zergling on Stonenaga Tower, so he might be sending units over here to help him defend. He definitely should. Still not mining from that geyser in his main, which is not going to be helping him. 12 Banelings on the way, as well as 6 Overlords, getting a little bit supply blocked there. And I would love to see him make some more mutas. I don't even know where his mutas are. Does he have some? Yes, he has 4. They are sitting up here. Once again, he has got the early Spire, but he has not actually managed to do any damage the entire game with these units. Looks like here comes the push into the third base. A whole bunch of banelings are prepared, but doing a nice little split right there. He does manage to mitigate the damage on the banelings a little bit, but the roaches are going to be running in and really hoping to clean up this push. But the siege tank doing such good work against those roaches. Another stem from the Marines, but if the siege tank can get off a few more uncontested hits like that, he could be in good shape, especially when there is 1 medevac per Marine. Those medevacs can definitely do quite a bit of damage. The siege tank is going to get off more hits, but is going to get flanked, and it does go down right there. 18 drones on the way from Poonpounder, which will put him up at the total of 82, which one he should definitely stop with the drone production. You never really want to get more than 80 drones as a Zerg player, just because then it starts to not benefit you, because you start to not be able to have quite as much army. And so we see PanamaRed just ramping up his production a little bit more while he prepares to grab that third, and he's got a pretty sizable force outside his base. We take a look at his upgrades. We see he is currently on 0-0, as is Poonpounder. Poonpounder is just on the 1-0 on the roaches. He might have Zergling attack, but I don't really see any Zerglings on the map, unfortunately. Are there any? There are 14 somewhere on the map. I could not tell you where, unfortunately. Looks like they are right here. And they also just have the +1 carapace. Another push coming over, but Poonpounder does not have very many units at all. And so he is going to be very hard pressed to hold this. He has a lot of mutas, but of course mute is not very good against the Marines and Marauders. They are falling very quickly to the roaches and to the queens. And the queens and roaches are falling very quickly. Zerglings streaming in, trying to see if they can do any damage with the spine going down. All these Zerglings sitting idle, and there are no units on the map for Poonpounder. He just lost almost everything. I think his only chance could be if he could get some good baneling hits. But we have a nice split from PanamaRed, and it looks like this might be it for Poonpounder in this tournament. He is about to get knocked out, unfortunately for him. Its positioning could just be too strong. PanamaRed just has too many units. Poonpounder doing as much as he can, pooping creep on the third expansion, just trying to slow down the SCVs a little bit with all of that poon, I guess you could say. But it looks like now he does not have many units. He's throwing down 2 macro hatches. He's a lot of money, pulling drones off the line, seeing if he can get any damage in, and just trying to transfer them out. But he's going to lose his spawning pool in just a second, and there's another huge swell of units coming out across the map. Still not any upgrades, just a +1 on those units. But this is not looking good for Poonpounder. He is down by 100 supply. He does not have any Zerglings on the map. He cannot make any more. He can pull all his drones in just a second if he wants to have any chance to hold this, but he just did lose it. But he says, GG Padawan, you are now a Master Jedi. PanamaRed saying GG, and Poonpounder saying the Force is strong with you. So it looks like PanamaRed will be moving on to the next round, and Poonpounder will be knocked out of the tournament. So that is it for that best of 3. So I'll be bringing you guys the next one in just a few minutes. Just chill or hang around, talk and chat, anything you want. Go on Facebook, and I'll be back in a few minutes.